from Chicagoland. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Munira's Musings. We bring these shows to you because we want to talk to you about your journey, the guest's journey, and what they are doing now, and what are they doing now, and how they got the gift they have right. And we bring these stories to you, and we do. Yeah, take 5, right? Sorry about that. So yeah, this is happening right now in real life. So I'm so sorry about that. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for forgiving me. But we bring these stories to you because we think that you want to listen to everybody's journey to their niche and what they are doing now with all of the gifts they have. So how are they impacting other people? We are a community. And what we'd like for you to do is join us if you're not an entrepreneur already, and jump in. The water is just fine. Our guest today is all the way from California, Northern California, right? Northern. I was in South California. So Northern California. Welcome, James Hamilton, to our podcast.
Thank you, Munira. Thank you for inviting me on. It's really great to meet you.
Thank you. So tell us, we're going to start right there. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So James, married to Callie. We've been married just 20 years now. I'm the dad of 2 boys, Elijah and Joey, who are 14 and 10. And my current role is I'm a pastor at Bayside Church in Granite Bay, in just north of Sacramento in California. I oversee all of our ministry with children.
Okay, so how did you start becoming a podcaster? What did you do under other things before you became that?
Yeah, so my background actually is in theater. So school wasn't that interesting for me, but there was one subject that I just loved and excelled, and that was theater and acting. So as you can hear from my accent, I'm not from Northern California. I'm from the UK, grew up near London. And once I graduated high school, I studied theater, and then after theater, I became an actor. A professional actor in a touring theatre company, and out of that set up a children's theatre company, and then from there created short films and resources and did a lot of training, particularly with churches, and kind of like my life took a little bit of a left turn in February 2013 when I got a random phone call from a mega church in suburbs of Kansas City asking if I would be interested in being a kids pastor. So long story short, we moved to the US in February 13, and I've been in the US 12 years, 6 years there, and now 6 years as kids pastor here at Bayside.
Okay, so this is going to be very, I know nothing about pastorship or anything, so please forgive me if I'm completely ignorant.
No, you're fine.
I know that a pastor is like a shepherd, right? And he takes care of the flocks. So why do children need a shepherd or a pastor?
Well, I think we all need a shepherd, but obviously kids need a shepherd because the Bible says we're all like sheep and have gone astray, and I think that for me, I have had a sense of calling for pretty much my whole life to be a shepherd for kids, to help them understand the Bible, help them to understand the Christian faith, but in an interesting and fun and exciting and relevant way. So for some reason, God had gifted me as a communicator to kids. I don't know necessarily why or how that happened, but I just have a talent for helping to get on a kid's level and help them understand, but also just to make them laugh and engage. So, yeah.
What is the age group that you work with?
So I oversee our ministry at our church for 12 years and under. So from birth to 12 years. On a weekend at my church, we have around about 800 kids attend each week. So we're larger than most schools in the area.
All right. So is this just about explaining how the Bible works? Tell me what you do with the kids.
Oh, yeah. So we have a curriculum. So we generally kind of work through the Bible in a year. going between Old Testament stories and New Testament stories. So that will involve from the stage teaching, dramatic storytelling. We use videos, we have songs, the children do crafts, they play games. And one of the things that we say is we just want this to be the best hour of a kid's week. So that we want them to come and have fun, be safe, and learn something and grow in their own faith.
So all of the kids are together. It's not just a different classroom. They're all together in one.
No, they're not together in one classroom. No, they are separated out by age group. Yeah, generally by every year or 2 grades. So yeah, we have a lot of different classrooms. 800 kids in one room would be extremely chaotic.
Okay.
As you can imagine.
I understand. Okay, so now let's get to the meat, because you've written a book.
I have, yes.
And so what is this book about, and tell me more.
Okay, so I actually happen to have a copy right here. There it is. It's called Let's Walk, and it's 52 stories and devotions for families. So this is actually a book written for parents to read to their children primarily. Now, kids can read it themselves, adults can read it themselves. So growing up, when I was a kid, my dad was actually a pastor as well, and we grew up in the Christian faith. And one of the things that my parents did for us, I had 2 sisters, is once a week on a Sunday after dinner, we would just sit around for maybe 20 minutes. My dad would open up his Bible and we'd read something and we'd have a conversation about it. And this was a routine that we had every week. Fast forward to now me being a parent, that's something that we do as a family. And I work with a lot of parents who really just trying to grapple with how do they have faith conversations with their children? How do they, not even just faith conversations, but how do they talk about values as a family? What do they believe? How can parents help their kids grow? So I wrote this book initially just for me. I wanted to find everyday things that happen in our lives, in my life, and take some lessons from those things that happen and create a tool for parents to learn from the Bible, learn some values, learn how to pray together, learn how to have conversations that are a little bit deeper and more meaningful than maybe you would normally have. So there's 52 stories. Most of them are kind of fun, crazy things that have happened to me. So, for example, when my son was 4, we were traveling back to the US from the UK, and we had a stopover in Toronto. And I took my eyes off my kids for a second, and my youngest son somehow managed to walk onto a walkway to a plane heading to Chicago. And so we had this long panicked 10 minutes of trying to find my son, and then the flight attendant came walking, holding his hand, saying, "Is this your son? He tried to board the plane." So, in that story, it's a fun story, but there's a lesson about how, when Jesus talks about the lost sheep and how he is a shepherd, is like the good shepherd. He never gives up on searching for his flock. And so there's lots of stories, fun things like that, that hopefully are, fun to read, interesting for kids and parents alike.
What grade level have you chosen to write the book in?
It generally would appeal to, I guess the sweet spot for age group would be early elementary. But I usually say it would work between it works for like 5-year-olds all the way up to adulthood.
So it's not a biblical story. It's just your stories that you have now thought of, written your stories, and then found a lesson in it. That's
correct. Yes, but the every devotion starts with a reference to a Bible story. So the idea is to help families actually get into the Bible first. So that's where we start. So just pick a random one on the front. We say, let's read, and then I give them a Bible verse or a Bible passage to read. Then we launch into the story. Then we have a prayer. We have a conversation starter. We have fun facts. We have a joke. It's always a bad dad joke. a question the parents where they can get to share something that they've learned about this lesson. And then a let's go, which means let's go and put this into practice. Let's actually go and apply what we're learning as a family. So lots of ideas for kids. Now, I would say that in the book, there's about 12. We take a different approach in 12 of these lessons where I've written a dramatic retelling of a Bible story from the point of view of one of the characters. So it's not all just my stories. There's 12 stories. With my background in theater, it's like you would almost read like a little monologue of a character who is in a Bible story.
So you've been how long have you had this book published?
Oh, it just came out in November, so just a couple of months. It's
okay.
Yes.
And how long did it take you to write it?
It's about 18 months, on and off. Yeah.
Okay. So, why this book? What made? I mean, you wrote your stories down, but why did you think you wanted to share those stories with the world?
Well, I think, as I explained, it's very hard as parents, particularly parents of faith, where you do want to help your kids discover faith for themselves. And as parents, it's our responsibility as Christian parents to try and do that. And I work with hundreds and hundreds of kids, and there's hundreds of parents. And so really I wanted to be able to give them a chance and an opportunity and a tool to be able to have those conversations. So one of the really cool things that has been about writing this book, obviously we've really promoted it in my church. And so since we've released it, every single week I have kids coming up to me having conversations about the chapters of the stories that they're reading. It's not often an author gets to actually interact with in person with many of his readers.
Right.
So it's really interesting hearing their responses to some of the stories that they're reading.
Is there a sequel to this book?
Not yet, but I hope so. I think I've got some more ideas.
But just being a devil's advocate here, would you speaking of religion, you shouldn't say that, but
Excuse the pun. I love it.
but here's a thought: is like, would you take the kids' stories and their thoughts and their ideas and put it in the book?
Yeah, I think that's it. It's not just my stories. There are stories other people. So I think this is the thing that I believe really about the Bible is it's living, it's alive, and can continually speak to us in different ways. And so I think there's no limit on how much we can talk about the Bible. There's probably a limit of how many interesting stories I could tell about my own life, but I'm sure that the concept isn't really about telling the stories. I think I could always find stories and make the connections to the Bible. I think what I'm trying to do is use this book to allow parents to discover God's word for themselves, to actually have conversations that are not just led by the book. This is just a launch pad for that. So I think I would love to have more stories from kids, more stories of other people. One of the chapters in here, I pretty much tell the story of a lady I met called Jackie Pullinger, who got up and left the UK, got on a boat, didn't know where she was going, and ended up in Hong Kong because she felt called by God, and she ended up working with drug addicts in the walled city and has devoted her life to doing that. And so my mum and I got to go out and visit her and see the work, and it was completely life-changing. So I just get to share her story and how we all need heroes in our own lives, and we all need people to inspire us. So I'm trying to help the reader not just listen to my stories, but be inspired by others too.
Thank you so much for the insight. So James, how do we first of all, where do we get the book?
Oh, it's on Amazon. So yeah, that's pretty much. Or if you actually go to Bayside, you could get it here, but it's on Amazon. And
where do we find you if anybody wants to share their stuff? How do they?
Yeah, so I have a website called Thriving Kid Min. So thrivingkidmin.com. Kidmin short for Kids Ministry. So I have a web email address that's james@thrivingkidmin.com. Or you can contact Bayside Church, and they would probably get you in touch with me as well. And obviously social media, James Hamilton, Thriving Kid Min on Facebook as well.
Okay, all right. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Your ideas into your career that can change other people's lives. He's a pastor. He's doing what he's called to do. But what are you called to do? And how are you sharing that information with the people around you? So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you hear, if you like what we are sharing, please go ahead, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We'll bring another guest next week. Go ahead and wait for the next one, because that's going to be another conversation with another entrepreneur and another gifted person who may change your life. Until we meet again, have a good day, everybody. Bye. Thanks, James.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you.